Okay, then. Well, thank you guys for joining me. This is the Zoom In with Daniel Root for the 15th of July. So today we're going to dig into something about foundational, something that explains why many people don't feel better even when they're doing all the right detox things. It all starts in the gut, and this has been an area of interest for me for some time, but I recently completed an amazing course from Kiran Krishnan, who is a leading microbiologist, and he explains all this magnificently. So let's take a look at how your gut terrain affects every step of detoxification and what we can do about it if the time, yep, it works. So you've heard me talk about niacin, sauna, binders, and all that, but none of that works long-term if your terrain is inflamed and leaking. So detox fails when the gut isn't ready. And yet many of the toxins we're trying to detox are the very things damaging the gut in the first place. So we need a smarter approach. And this is going to be one that addresses both gut repair and toxin offloading in parallel. So the gut isn't just where food goes to get broken down. It's your frontline immune system, and it's your hormone processor. It's a 26-foot barrier between you and the outside world. It's home to 38 trillion microbes with over 70% of your immune system sitting behind it. If that lining breaks down, you're not just dealing with indigestion, you're dealing with inflammation, immune chaos, and detox overload. Now, here's some fun facts. Your gut is home to more microbial cells than human cells, like 38 trillion versus 30 trillion. The combined total of microbiota weighs more than your brain. In fact, your microbiota carry over 100 times more genes than your own DNA. And the bugs in your gut literally influence mood, immunity, metabolism, and everything. And the amazing thing, your microbiome is constantly adapting. Even one meal can start shifting it for better or for worse. So here's something most people never realize. When you eat something, it doesn't actually enter your body, at least not yet. Everything in your digestive tract is technically outside your internal terrain until it crosses through an intelligent barrier system in your gut lining. That lining is just one cell layer thick. It's covered in villi and microvilli, little finger-like structures that maximize surface area for absorbing nutrients. And between each cell are tight junctions, like zippers that decide what gets in and what stays out. When everything's working right, you absorb nutrients and keep toxins out. But when those tight junctions break down from glyphosate, mold, stress, EMFs, etc., that barrier fails. Suddenly your immune system is under siege. LPS, or lipopolysaccharides, leaks in. Undigested food proteins get flagged as invaders, and the whole terrain lights up with inflammation. That's what we call leaky gut, and it's where chronic disease begins. So here we see a close-up cross-section of your intestinal wall, specifically the tips of your villi, which are finger-like projections that absorb nutrients and form the front line of your gut barrier. To give you some context, this is where that view fits in. These villi line your small intestine like shag carpet, and each one is covered in thousands of epithelial cells protected by mucus and tight junctions. Leaky gut is where the tight junctions between your gut lining cells start to break down. That allows things like LPS, undigested food, and toxins to leak directly into your bloodstream, triggering inflammation, immune confusion, and even brain fog. This breakdown doesn't just happen, it's driven by toxins, stress, infections, and poor diet. And once that barrier fails, your entire terrain becomes inflamed. So what causes leaky gut? Well, we now know it's not just gluten and sugar. It's glyphosate and other man-made chemicals, mold toxins, heavy metals, chronic stress, and EMFs. These things open up tight junctions in the gut wall, leaving your internal terrain vulnerable to outside attack, and that sets up the stage for endotoxemia, which we'll cover a little bit more. Your gut isn't just digesting food, it's also thinking, feeling, and influencing nearly every system in your body. That's why it's called the second brain. It houses its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system, which contains over 500 million neurons and produces most of your body's serotonin and dopamine. It's wired directly to your brainstem via the vagus nerve, which means every signal from the gut inflammation like LPS reaches your brain in real time. So if your gut is leaky, dysbiotic, or inflamed, you'll feel it as brain fog, anxiety, poor memory, sleep issues, and emotional reactivity. And on the flip side, when you repair the gut terrain, the lights come back on upstairs. That's why the second brain must heal first before we attempt detoxination. When the gut lining is compromised, something called LPS, like I've mentioned, lipopolysaccharides, leaks from your gut microbes into your bloodstream. This triggers a process called metabolic endotoxemia. It's low-grade chronic inflammation, but it's not low impact. It blocks detox, derails your mitochondria, and confuses your immune system. This is how the gut becomes the gateway to fatigue, brain fog, autoimmunity, and hormone disruption. Let's zoom in on one of the most important players in the gut-driven inflammation, gram-negative bacteria. These aren't inherently bad, but they have a structural feature that makes them risky, that lipopolysaccharide outer membrane, or LPS. LPS isn't just a microbial byproduct, it's an endotoxin, meaning it directly triggers immune activation. Now, in a healthy gut, this isn't a problem. LPS stays inside the digestive tract, locked behind tight junctions in the gut lining. But when that lining breaks down due to mold stress, glyphosate, EMFs, and other triggers, LPS escapes into the bloodstream, and that's when the cascade starts. Inflammation, immune overreaction, and blocked detox pathways. You don't need a pathogen to be inflamed. You just need a leaky gut and a few billion microbes dying off. So how dangerous is LPS really? Let's put some numbers to it. When a single gram-negative bacterial cell dies, it can release up to 50 million LPS molecules into the surrounding area. And remember, you have trillions of bacteria in your gut. Even a small leak in this barrier means millions of LPS particles can spill into circulation every day. These aren't passive molecules. LPS is bioactive, and even in picogram amounts, that's trillionths of a gram, it can trigger brain fog, fatigue, pain, and cytokine cascades. So if you've ever felt worse after a detox or after antibiotics or after a heavy meal, you may have been experiencing LPS surge, not a toxin release, but a terrain breach. This is exactly why we now emphasize gut restoration before detoxification. So here's the big one. This is the common denominator behind so many chronic diseases. After meals, people with gut damage experience a spike of LPS in the bloodstream. It's like eating turns into a toxin event. This process has been linked to obesity, heart disease, Alzheimer's, and even autoimmune conditions. And more importantly for us, it shuts down the body's ability to detox properly. Let's say you're doing all the right detox things, sauna, niacin, maybe even the full detoxination protocol. But if your gut's inflamed, sluggish, or leaking, many of the toxins you mobilize just get reabsorbed. That's why people crash during detox. The terrain wasn't ready and the gate is broken. That's why we want to start by rebuilding the gate. And this is what we call the toxin-terrain feedback loop. It explains why so many people stay sick, inflamed, and stuck. It starts with environmental toxins like glyphosate, mycotoxins, metals, EMFs, and processed foods. These damage the gut lining, disrupt tight junctions, and throw the microbes out of balance. That leads to a leaky gut where LPS slips into your bloodstream, triggering widespread inflammation. From there, the terrain collapses. Mitochondria slow down, bile flow stagnates, detox capacity drops, and inflammation becomes systemic. With your detox pathways overwhelmed, toxins recirculate, damage more tissues, and drive even more gut barrier breakdown. So now you're stuck in a loop where a toxic terrain traps toxins, and toxins keep destroying the terrain. Breaking this loop is what our new gut terrain reset is designed to do. Resetting the terrain is why I created a step before detoxination, something that gently supports the gut while still offloading toxins safely and efficiently. The strategy is simple: lower inflammation, strengthen the gut lining, use the skin, not the gut, for elimination, and it pairs binders with gut repair to stop recirculation. And most importantly, it respects the terrain. So I'm excited to share this new offering we'll be launching soon. It's called the Gut Terrain Reset. It's a terrain compatible detox protocol. It uses niacin flushes, sauna therapy, gut support, and smart binder timing to help you reduce toxic load, rebuild the gut lining. It combines gut and bile flow strategies with the niacin flush sauna detox version, and it also prepares your system for deeper detoxination programs. With this, you'll begin to win the battles that lead to victory over your health. So these are not just probiotics we're talking about here. These are tools for gut integrity recovery. Megaspore breaks down harmful LPS producers and repopulates with keystone species of microbiota. Megamucosa and Megapre work together to rebuild the physical gut lining and the microbial ecosystem that protects it. MegaGuard supports upper GI motility and bile flow, which we have to restore before mobilizing toxins. And Tributyrin X provides butyrate, the short-chain fatty acid your colonocytes need to maintain tight junctions and reduce inflammation. This is the terrain work that will make detoxination more effective. So this is for you if you've reacted to detox in the past, you have mold, EMF, or chemical sensitivity, you're constipated, inflamed, or histamine sensitive, or if you've wanted to do the detoxination protocol but didn't feel ready. This is the place to start, and it will be released within the next 2 weeks or so. So if you have subscribed to our email list, you'll receive notification of its release, or if you're in the Facebook group, I'll be naturally posting it there as well. So just one thing I want to address with all this, because there is the elephant in the room. Uh, Basically, if detoxination is so powerful, why have only 20% of the people ever reached this end phenomena, which I did back in 1986 during the past 43 years here? So I believe we now have the answer, and it points directly to the gut. When I reached that breakthrough state in 1986, I didn't realize my gut was ready, but it had to be. Back then, we weren't yet under full assault by ultra processed foods and agrochemical driven farming like we are today. So, see, if your gut is leaky, inflamed, or dysbiotic, then no matter how well you mobilize toxins, your body won't be able to eliminate them properly or reset neurologically. You might feel better temporarily, but that final clarity, that terrain shift, it doesn't persist. That's why we will now lead with gut terrain reset to repair the barrier, contain the LPS, and allow detoxination to work at its full potential. And when it does, the end phenomena becomes possible. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the screen share, and let's go ahead and bring this back to you guys. So who all we got here? I see some faces I recognized already, and a couple new ones. Hello, Frank, and anybody want to just go ahead and unmute and start with questions? Feel free.
Yeah, I'd love to start. This is Frank.
Hi, Frank. Thank you.
So I just finished reading your book. My wife and I did, and I've had some challenges over the past probably 3, 4 years.
Okay.
Of course, I was already awake to the healthcare industrial complex. Um, and I actually own a vitamin company that, makes family vitamins, but none of that matters. The body's very complex and the gut's very complex. And so I came down with a black mold poisoning. And we really aren't sure where that came from. We ended up tearing our house down to the studs and we didn't
Wow.
find any black mold. We had to do it anyway, but we expedited it. Um, and, there's been a lot of information, and I've learned over the years that you have to be the steward of your own health because if you're not, um, then nobody will be, not even your wife. Um, and so I went through the gamut of naturopathic doctors and nutritionists and GI doctors, and I got hit with COVID pretty hard, right shortly after the mold toxification that I had.
Okay.
And so it completely destroyed my gut biome. And it's been a vicious recovery. And so I went through the whole process of figuring out that COVID wipes out bifidobacteria and all kinds of things, right? And too many things to name, and I tried so many darn protocols. And there's a couple things that really actually probably saved my life because I lost 50 pounds and I was really sick and I turned gray and Um, Part of it was changing my diet. Part of it was coffee enemas, and removing that. Part of it was an infection I got when I was a teenager, which was mono, which turned into Epstein-Barr, which is not helpful. The whole challenge with all this is once you get one of these things, all kinds of, you take away the police and all kinds of bad things happen, right? Looting and stealing and shooting and all kinds of things. So I went through a process over a couple years of, building back up my gut biome and realizing that I probably had leaky gut and, using all kinds of different things. I probably spent so much money on doctors and supplements at this point. Um, and I got to a pretty good place where I think I had repaired a lot of stuff. And then, my son and I got the flu again at the beginning of this year. And the flu was really COVID again. And I ended up with a double ear infection. And I've never had an ear infection in my whole life. And so I went to a walk-in clinic. Somehow I was just so sick that I needed to do that. And I ended up on antibiotics, and they gave me the wrong antibiotics, and
Hmm.
it didn't repair my it didn't help with my double ear infection. So I ended up with going to an ear, nose, and throat specialist, thanks to my wife. And he's basically told me these aren't going to help at all. You got to get on this, and he gave me a steroid shot, and I got through that, but the end result of that is it destroyed my gut bacteria again.
Hmm.
So I've been in the process of repairing that, and I have all the things you described inside your presentation. I've had at one point or another. I've known a long time that the gut is, sort of the central place for all things to happen. I knew all about villi. I knew the inside of your intestines were really the outside of your body, and your body's trying to prevent bad things from getting into it. Um, my question to you is, with all that information, is, after reading your book and going through this, I believe it's something that is definitely should be on my things to do, a roadmap, and my wife is actually doing it. She's actually on this call. I think she's in the sauna doing her 2 hour sauna
She must
on
be
the
on the
call.
phone then, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a horse and cart here, right? And some of the supplements you showed, I've been on, the Megaspore and stuff like
Hmm.
that, because I had some great functional medical doctors and naturopathic doctors because I didn't know, nobody knew what happened, right? Like I didn't even know I had mold. Thank God for testing that we could do.
Hmm.
The question, and you've kind of answered the question a little bit, which is you're coming up with this protocol for it. I'm in the middle of trying to uh, uh, put Epstein-Barr back in a cage, because he's also causing some problems. The horse and the cart thing here, like I'm eager to start the protocol, and we've bought all the things that we need to do to start the protocol. We have our own sauna. We don't have an infrared sauna, unfortunately.
What kind do you have?
Uh, so that's okay though.
What kind do you have though?
We have a barrel sauna. It's a dry sauna. It's
Dry
a
sauna?
fit
Okay.
air sauna. It's a really nice one.
Sure.
Um, and I've been doing saunas for, I don't know, 3 months now, but only 15, 20 minutes at a time, then followed by a cold plunge. And
Okay. Oh, good.
I do see an enormous difference
Hmm.
in doing that. Um, and so my question to you is, should I be waiting to do this uh, this new protocol that you're talking about, since I have stomach sensitivities? Um, and or can I start it and retrofit and implement this stuff in as it comes along? Um, I'm pretty resilient at this point. I mean, I've had a war going on in my digestive tract for the past 4 years, so uh, I don't like it. It's not great, and but a new term that I've found out here is LPS. That's exactly what happens. Under certain foods, like you'll get comfortable. I'll go 6 months and everything will be fantastic. And then I'll go to a restaurant and I'll ask them because I have a very big sensitivity to MSG. I guess that's probably a leaky gut thing. It gets into my bloodstream and it destroys me for 2 weeks. Like I feel septic, it affects my emotions. It's a terrible, terrible experience. And I do my best to detox from it, but it takes some time to do that.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm trying to be more careful, but you go 6 months and you're like, oh yeah, I we can go out now. This is great. And then, the restaurant told us they didn't have
MSG.
any of that substance in it. And then,
Mhm.
you find out later that they do. I don't
Right.
think they all really know. So I've really been sticking to the low histamine, one ingredient foods this past couple weeks or so. Like I'll eat oats or I'll eat rice or I'll eat steak, but I won't eat anything with sauce or I won't eat any, multiple things. And I'm staying away from um, vegetables that want to attack you and things like that. So it's a long-winded question, but I
Yeah.
want you to have the most information possible.
Thank you. I actually feel like I'm able to better answer this. Firstly, the dry sauna is absolutely usable for the program. We've been using dry saunas for 36 years in the occupational
Yeah,
setting. The thing is that it wasn't until we discovered that rebound lipolysis in humans occurs after 2.5 hours that we realized that those first 3 hours were probably a waste of time. And the fact that the dry saunas take longer to produce that sebaceous sweat is
yeah.
another concern. But if you haven't done so already, if you've got the book, you're entitled to be able to register on our website to download the updated protocol guidebook for free. Otherwise, it's a $15, like $14.99 to purchase it. And it is the most updated information at this point. It will also be a companion now to the new protocol, the gut resets. So what we're going to do is put that into a more comprehensive layout. But since you have a lot of the existing products, it sounds like, that are from products I mentioned, then you could be just working with that and then implementing the niacin flush sauna detox. Is that a version you've ever heard of?
The niacin
The niacin flush
flush.
sauna detox. It is under the
I had never
volume.
heard of it. I never heard it. So I went to a muscle testing chiropractor type doctor maybe about a month ago, and he talked about it with me. And then we immediately bought the book.
Oh, okay.
And prior to that, we had not, we knew nothing about it. I've watched a bunch of your videos and interviews on YouTube. I joined the Facebook group.
Good.
So
Well, let me just tell you, the term sauna detoxification using niacin is a broad umbrella. It covers everything from our detoxination program, the original Hubbard method, the methods that Dr. Yu has come up with. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. George Yu, but he has his versions that are basically similar to the niacin flush sauna detox, which we created for firefighters. So let me briefly explain what this is. Produced this for firefighters so that they can actually utilize saunas and take the niacin to get a flush occurring, because there's always going to be toxins that are in blood at any given time. I talked about that at nauseum in other videos, but there's always blood or toxins in blood. So when you have a flush, it pushes those toxins out to the skin regions. That's why you see the redness. All that extra blood is pushing these toxins out to the skin layers. So you can sweat those out in the sauna. It doesn't matter if it's a dry sauna or an infrared sauna. It'll basically, help to sweat those out, but it's only dealing with what's already in blood. Whereas the full detoxination protocol is going to liberate toxins at 3 times normal levels, and it actually works out to about a 300 times greater detox than the niacin flush. This is a version, though, that is recommended for people who are just starting out. And now that we've recognized the importance of the gut microbiome, this is how we're going to integrate the two, the the restoration, as well as the niacin flush sauna detox. So right now, what we're doing is we're putting together the concise version that will help to explain how to do this to get the maximum out of it. It wasn't ready for release when I recorded this video, but it should be another week or two before we've actually got it all dialed in. So by the time this video is seen by most people, it'll probably be out by that point. But the thing is that you can get started with this. And what it will help to do, and this is really important to understand, is that you're going to have toxins that are affecting the gut because they're in the blood now. If you can start reducing that body burden by just doing flushes while in the sauna, then you're going to help to relieve the burden in the gut. And that's why this is going to be now something that we're going to be recommending for people to do, especially if they know that they have some kind of leaky gut issue that they're dealing with. A lot of people don't realize that they do. That's the other thing too. So I see a lot of conditions that probably are related to toxicity, but they may be because of how they've affected the gut microbiome. So it's going to be something that when I'm talking to people through my interview, discovery process called the complementary consultations, I'm going to be asking a lot more questions now related to their gut. So, and there's going to be a health history. There is a health history questionnaire I ask people to fill out, but there's going to be a lot more questions now related to the gut. But for you, just keep in mind that in the updated protocol guidebook, there's actually a section devoted to dry sauna use. I didn't spell it out as well in the book. So this is something that you're going to want to download, but it is more related to the full detoxination program, not this other, startup or ramp up. So.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, I'm eager to get started, so I'll download the book. I mean, I live and work on my ranch, and so I've got nothing but time and availability. I mean, I don't mean that in a way like I'm not working. I am. I work for myself. So, but I can scoot off for 2 hours in the morning or at night or whenever to get this done, right?
Mhm.
And I've come to prioritize like if you don't have your health, you have nothing, right?
Famous line
Including,
from Princess Bride. Yes, if you haven't got your health, you
yeah,
can't eat anything.
yeah, that's exactly right. And so I'm eager to get started on this. So I'm glad that I was able to join and do this because I was going to go through the other protocol, which my wife is going through. And she's a week ahead of me because I want to just kind of just see her reaction. Um,
Well, if she's already a week into it, it'd be very important for you guys to get the updated protocol guidebook because it'll probably help to explain how to use that dry sauna for more effectiveness.
okay, yeah. I wouldn't say I think she's on day 2 or 3 or something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah, it would be helpful. In
Oh,
fact,
but she did the week's worth of niacin first, so I guess
yeah,
she's
ramped up to yeah,
the
she had
ramp
that.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So she started at 500 milligrams for the 30-day program, I'm assuming then.
yeah.
Okay, good, good. All right. Well, I hope that answered the question because, frankly, it sounds right. Sorry, pardon the pun there. So it sounds like you've got the starting tools to do this, but just start with the niacin flush sauna detox. The files section of the Facebook group has the document that spells that one out. But if you're going to register to get the updated protocol guidebook, you'll find it in the Forms and Information Center once you become a member. And by the way, to become a member, you will need to upload a picture of the book or a screenshot of the Kindle version if that's what you have. And then we have to actually approve it. So it's not going to be an automatic, you can get right into it. So,
Yeah.
but you get a notification that lets you know that we've approved your membership. So now you can log into the website and access the Forms and Information Center. It's important
So
for
so
me
I
to
just go, yeah, okay. So I just go to the website.
yeah, getdetoxinated.com, and then you'll find either under the shop, there's an account that you can create an account under, or you can just go to getdetoxinated.com/register. And that'll give you the place to upload an image of the book or a screenshot of the Kindle, and that's required for access unless I see it through this Zoom call. If you show me and I recognize that you're the person, don't worry about it. We can just take a picture. But the thing is that
Well,
it's
I can
required.
better than that. I can take a screenshot of the purchase on Amazon, which is even
That
better
that
than
works too. By the way, that works too. And the reason I'm expelling or expressing all of this is because a lot of people miss all of this, and I think those who are watching the video replay of this will have a better understanding of what's expected to be able to download these free materials if you've already purchased the book. But again, if
Yeah.
somebody wants to buy it, it is $14.99 for the updated protocol guidebook. And you don't even have to purchase the entire book, which I find is really helpful because it does have a lot of background information as well as case studies. And I even included the 50-page response letter that my father submitted to the California Medical Board when they opened up a probe into his use of this, sauna detoxification using niacin
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
for occupational medicine. And actually, the state of California became our largest client after that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I saw you talk about that. Yeah, I think the book answers the why and the protocol answers the what, right?
right, exactly, and how.
Yeah, and the how. Yeah, exactly. So that's great. A second question I had, and I don't want to take up all the questions here, but is there I know that you have some sort of consultation
Mhm.
that you can book with you in case we need it along the way. You know, we're willing to, you
Yeah,
know,
and thank you for bringing that up. So, since you guys are already started or getting started with it, it sounds like you're probably not going to be interested in the coaching itself. But if somebody does run into trouble like yourselves while on the program, I do have a protocol advice. It's a $75 retainer for 1 hour. And what it is that let's say you have a bunch of questions you want answered and we can get them done in 15 minutes on a Zoom call, then you still have 45 minutes remaining. So it's a safety net for people that just, don't want to engage my full-on coaching, but want to have a safety net. So, and it's really useful for people.
yeah, I think, in the beginning, and I don't know what to expect. Overall, but in the beginning, it might be good to have get it started and have a consultation to say, here's what's happening to me. Is this
Mhm.
normal, right? So that
Right,
you can say, whoa, 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 that's not normal. Don't do that. Like I saw some of the images on the Facebook group of people, with black towels
right,
and all kinds of things, right? So I understand a little bit about what that is normal, but if it's like, oh yeah, I'm passing out in the sauna. Is that normal kind of thing,
right.
right?
Thanks for the questions, Frank, and I hope that everything does work out for you, especially since that leaky gut issue is something that can be reversed and it can improve so much more in your life. I know a lot of people I work with have food sensitivities and things like that. I cannot even imagine what that's like. I have absolutely no food sensitivities or issues with food, and I love to, experiment with different foods and things like that. But it must be something really horrendous to have to think about it. And my wife, unfortunately, is the same way, though. She has to be very, very careful about what she puts into her body.
Yeah.
And so, it makes it, something that we have to consider when we're going out to dinner or anything like that. But anyway, I believe that now that we've really identified how important the gut is to this whole process, it's going to help reshape how the results are for most people, because it was frustrating that most people that we work with are not getting to that end phenomena. And I don't think I really ever expressed on this call what end phenomena really meant for me and why we are all here today talking, because if I hadn't hit end phenomena, this would not be happening. So for me, it was characterized by having an overall sense of well-being, high energy, stamina, and performance. My brain fog lifted that I didn't even know I had. And my IQ reclaimed 10 points because we used to do testing pre and post detox. My color vision, my sense of smell, and my sense of taste became more vivid. So if food was prepared properly, it smelled and tasted wonderful. And then on top of all that, my dreams became more vivid and I remember them better. And that was 1986 that I went through the program, and it was a 33-day, 5 hour a day long ordeal that I went through. And today, at age 62, I still have all of that going for me. So it's something that I really hope that a lot more people would experience. And it was really frustrating when we weren't seeing but 20% of the people that go through the program actually ever hit it. But now I believe we've discovered the real culprit behind that. And I'm hoping that we'll start to see more people actually hit end phenomena.
Yeah, so I think you nailed it, right? Like the gut health is the heartbeat of everything, right?
Hmm.
Without it, then there's no real true healing. You can surface level, buff the scratches out of the car, but if the engine's not working, you're not going anywhere. Um,
Yeah,
So
in fact, may I interject? Because I'll tell you
yeah,
what,
of course.
you mentioned this already. The LPS was kind of like that missing link. We were thinking more about the toxins that we're putting into or onto our bodies from like man-made chemicals and heavy metals and things like that. It never dawned on us that LPS, the lipopolysaccharides, are actually, in our body no matter what. And it's when the terrain is damaged and the gut lining is allowing these endotoxins to get through. That was not something that we were even considering in occupational medicine. So and we were seeing that the detox program was helping tremendously, but again, what was this thing with the 20% only hitting 20% of the people getting in phenomena? That I think we've now broken through, and we're going to finally see more people hit that.
Yeah, when you're out repairing the front door, you didn't realize you left the back door open and all the bad guys are getting in,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So another question I had was, let's say you go through the protocol, you get great results, you're hopefully in the bigger pool of the 20%, or maybe it's 50% now. How often do you think, because we're being bombarded with all kinds of toxins all the time, it's tough to go. We try to do all the right things, but you're still
Hmm.
human, right? You're on a vacation and you stop at a gas station and get a bottle of water. Not, it's hard to find a bottle of water that's in actual glass, right? So you're taking in BPA or
Phthalates.
yeah, or chemical trails from whatever's going on, or we live on a ranch, so all the farmers around us are probably spraying glyphosate, and
Hmm.
you don't go to a restaurant and say, "Hey, is this USDA organic, grown, whatever?" Um, is there a sort of a protocol on how often you need to do this? Like, is it once a year? Is it once every 5 years? Yeah, I know you said that you did it in '86 and that made a huge difference. But the
Yeah,
question
but I've,
is,
I've done detoxination more than that though. So
yeah,
with the original Hubbard method, that was a 5 hour a day ordeal, and it
so
didn't include
crazy.
binders and all that. So it was truly something I would never ever do again. But with our program, we've got it down to that 2 hours, and we've got the binders, and we're using infrared saunas for the most part. But
Yeah,
the thing is that I do know from our studies that the body burdens are being reduced on average by 1/3. Therefore, more often than not, people need to do this program at least twice. And if gadolinium or other toxic rare earth metals or anything that's going to be, a complication are included in the mix, then like with gadolinium alone from MRIs, that automatically tells me you should do the program 3 times, if not four, depending on the number of gadolinium injections from MRIs. I cringe when I think about people with MS who get, scans all the time, and it's not helping. It's making things worse. So the bottom line there is that for most people, probably twice would be the best. You get at least 2/3 of the body burden out of the system. But I'll do a 14-day, basically a maintenance program every few years. I'm probably past due, but the thing is that I do sauna daily,
yeah,
and I want to make sure I qualify that because, like, I live in Sacramento, and we get a lot of hot days. And if I'm going to be working out in the yard or the garden, I am not going to sauna that day. But
yeah,
the sweat will still happen. But
yeah.
the bottom line here is that I try to get at least 5 good days of sauna in 30 minutes per day. And I find that alone helps to keep me from getting sick. Like I said, I haven't been sick since 1986 to any kind of degree. And I was never even concerned about COVID or pneumonia or whatever, the flu, because we saw that a lot of diseases seem to go away during that era,
Yeah, 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 exactly. That's a rabbit hole not to go down, right?
huh?
I do agree. Like, I wasn't sick hardly ever, and I wasn't doing saunas until I got the mold poisoning, and then it just unleashed everything, right? But back to the MRI. Can you explain a little bit more about, because I've had a couple MRIs, not where is that coming through the air, or is that some liquid that you take, or
They usually inject a gadolinium-based contrast agent, or GBCA. There are some that use an oral suspension that you drink, and if it's Gadolite, it's actually very safe. That's for like MRIs of the GI tract. But for the most part, the MRIs that use contrast, which they get reimbursed a lot more money for, those are going to pretty much have the gadolinium that is something that does cause people a lot of issues. But there are some people who can get away with MRIs and not experience anything. Kind of depends on if it's a macrocyclic or a linear version of the gadolinium, and we can go way off into the weeds with the different types and the complexities of what happens with the gadolinium. But just know that it is something that I see a lot in clients that I'm working with, and we do need to adjust the protocol for gadolinium toxicity because there's several things that we know about it that need some alterations. The thing is though, if you don't feel like you have some of the major symptoms from it, it may not be affecting you. You may be one of the ones that were lucky. And it has nothing to do with kidneys, like they'll try to explain to you. But anyway, let me just provide a couple of examples of symptoms that can indicate whether or not you're experiencing it. So things like severe bone pain, electrical sensations, brain zaps, of course, brain fog and cognitive dysfunction are things that are also listed as some of the symptoms, but that can be caused by a lot of different things. But then there's things like low body temp, so you always feel cold, hair thinning, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and several other things are related to gadolinium toxicity. But it's that severe bone pain and the electrical sensations and brain zaps that are really ones that stand out. I should have mentioned muscle twitching, spasms, and any kind of tremors can be related to gadolinium as well.
So I did a Prunova full body MRI just as a proactive health thing. I didn't have to take any liquids or anything.
They didn't inject you with anything?
No.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
so that's it's only when you're in injection. And then, in the height of my gut biome problem in the beginning, maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I did a lower intestinal uh the small intestine MRI, and it was using the gabalite that you mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let me explain what that means. So, gadolinium can be chelated with zeolite for MRIs of the GI tract, and it is a liquid suspension. And so, the zeolite is actually the strongest binder and chelator of gadolinium. And so, animal studies that were done using gadolite show zero retention of the gadolinium in the body. So, it does not dechelate, and that's good.
It made me sick to drink it though.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it did, but
Yeah.
it didn't dechelate. So I'm pretty sure of that. And in fact,
Okay.
stomach acids don't affect it at all either, as far as dechelation goes. But the good news there is that zeolite, it shows how zeolite is the strongest binder and chelator for gadolinium. And once these toxins get into into zeolite, it can't release them back into the body unless the body heats up to something that would kill you, like 752 degrees Fahrenheit or 400 degrees Celsius, so or above that. So anyway, yeah, it's good that that's the only type of GBCA you received.
Is there a test that you can do to determine whether any of this remained in your
Mhm.
body or not?
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple that you can find on our website. I have a quiz. It's a lab test quiz that you can take, and it just asks you, have you been exposed to this, that, or the other, or do you have these symptoms? And it will tell you based on the quiz results what your best tests to choose from would be. And so we have a relationship with Direct Labs, and you can order directly through our link. So.
Okay.
I'd love to interject and ask a couple questions if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dan, so much for another great presentation. Frank, I have a similar story as you, somehow mold exposure and um, also have Lyme disease. And one thing I'd add to the intestinal permeability causes is concussion. Uh,
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, that is how I developed mine originally.
Hmm,
And knew it pretty quickly, but didn't know what to do about it. Um, Last year I started with a naturopath and used a lot of Kiran Krishnan's products
good.
and have done a lot of good work on rebuilding gut lining. Um, and can tell in my presentation. Unfortunately, don't have the testing to prove it, but if we did, I could show it. I just opted to not do the precision point LPS and zonulin testing to save money for other things.
Hmm.
Anyway, I have been treating for a long time and started mobilizing toxins here in the last year once we did a lot of good gut work to rebuild my gut lining, similar to your presentation, Dan. We worked on that first.
Hmm.
And once I started mobilizing toxins and going after mold and started hitting infections, I started to get a bit constipated, which I'd never experienced in my entire life. The naturopath had really helpfully like sealed up my gut lining, which was huge. But then my bowel movements, this is TMI, but went from problematic to constipated, and I started to feel sicker where we had to back off on the toxin mobilization. And so I was curious your take on what to do in that situation. I've been saunaing. I love it. Thanks to you. And thinking about trying to work with you a little bit in some capacity. How it makes sense, I don't know because I'm really sick with Lyme right now. But so yeah, I guess my two questions are um, constipation and when mobilizing toxins, and if you have any thoughts on that, and but also liberating toxins while on antibiotics. Like I feel like I'm trying to do too many things at once and
You
mobilizing.
probably are.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, and like going after heavy metals and going after mold and the toxic overload from bacterial infections dying off at the same time. It's a
Yeah.
lot on my body. So
Got some
I
Herxheimer reactions there too. Yeah. So,
yeah.
frankly,
I had some.
yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Sorry, I'll let you say your piece,
Well,
and I know
just
you're not asking me the question. I have a couple thoughts on this because I have some experience with it too. So if you don't mind me talking
I'll
about it,
I'll
go.
actually be happy to defer to you right now because I just know the bigger problem on our protocol is diarrhea because we use a lot of magnesium.
Yeah.
We use oils, and there's some other things that can cause like high doses of vitamin C. So we see less
Yeah.
constipation and more of runny stool. So I don't know if you heard that, Eric, but we're basically dealing on our protocol, the full program. We're dealing with more of the diarrhea than we are with the constipation issues. But the thing is that um, I know that Kiran has some products that are supposed to help with that too. But Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you how it helped, how I was helped with what I did, and I'm not saying it's the perfect protocol, but I took a hybrid of a bunch of different things because I just didn't know what was going on. But I still maintain, this to this day, which is, you know, I really leaned into coffee enemas because of all the things that are toxic in your intestines already that have just been fused in there over a long period of time. And I also, while I was doing that, because if you have mold exposure and Lyme and a bunch of other things, I ended up doing a protocol with a parasite cleanse, and I passed over 50 parasites, including a parasite that was like 1 foot long, which apparently they called the mother. And I mean, I thought I was the only one who could ever do this, and I never thought in a million years would I do a coffee enema protocol that I read about in the Gerson therapy. Um, and it immensely helped me out because to me, this was all about immune load, right? Like, so if I could take some of the immune load off and relieve some of the bloating and constipation, it made a massive difference in my daily health. I passed anything from parasites to biofilm that had been in there to liver flukes and other kinds of flukes that I didn't even know what they were, this is a lot of information, but I'd pull them out of the toilet and say, what the heck is that? And almost go back to my grade school dissection period where I would dissect these things. And I noticed by doing that it would take the toxic load off so that my body could and my gut could recover and do its job from an immune perspective. And to this day, like if I have, as I described earlier, an MSG poisoning or something like that, I do a coffee enema to get it out of me. I'm very careful about how I do it, and I think that I'm not suggesting that you do it. I suggest do your own research into this. But I learned, that it increases glutathione production from your liver. One of the other things I had when I first went to the hospital was they did an ultrasound on my gallbladder and it was full of sludge and stuff like that. After doing the coffee enema protocol, my gallbladder was completely clean. I went and had another ultrasound done, and it's operating more efficiently because that can cause all kinds of digestive and constipation related problems. It's just something that I did. It worked well for me. Um, I buy Pure Life Enema coffee, which is mycotoxin, USDA organics, very specific light roasted coffee so that you don't end up, in another situation irritating your stomach. And I did a bunch of different protocols where I added aloe vera to the coffee once it was cooked for that sort of stuff, and maybe a little bit of salt. But that really helped me a lot. Whether it will help you or not, I guess that's for you to determine, but it made a massive difference for me.
Good. Thank you for the information there. And I don't think the audience is going to be seeing what Ricardo or Rick is posting, but definitely bile flow is very important. And I know that there's a bile flow product that Kiran has. So anyway, we are coming up on the hour. Does anybody else want to chime in with any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, real quick, Dan.
Sure.
Thank you for doing the webinar. I really appreciate
pleasure.
it. And just like everyone, like Eric, Frank, I also have mold poisoning, Lyme disease, mast cell activation, and a ton of other stuff that I don't want to get too deep into. But one of my theories as to why, when I did the sauna detoxification last year, the detoxination protocol, the 30 days, I herxed really brutally the whole time and even for many weeks afterwards. But one of my theories as to why I've always had such a extremely difficult time healing for the last almost 2 years now, it's because I have a severe damage to my microbiome just from a lot of things like antibiotics, extreme stress, PTSD, etc. Plus, one thing I never mentioned to you, which I now realize is probably one of the most important things as to why my health collapsed, was that I had liver failure 4 years ago, and I never really did anything about it just because I was just really uneducated and had a bad mindset at the time. So the first thing I've always done when I started reading about health was to learn about the gut, the importance about the gut and how it impacts everything. So I think having just a severely damaged gut microbiome and trying to do all these herbal protocols, all these detox protocols, haven't been as effective as I was hoping for, because my natural detox systems were congested and broken. My gut was demolished. So it's a good reassurance that I'm seeing you put this out there now, that you're going to be addressing the gut as well into your protocol. So would you say that having a healthier gut microbiome improve the outcomes of your detoxination protocol? Because I'm wanting to do it again for the second round this December again.
Okay.
Do you think that would help possibly just have a better outcomes? Because I've talked to other people who've done this protocol and achieved good success with it, but when I talk to them about their symptoms, I mean, we all have different symptoms and we all react to symptoms differently, even if we have similar issues. And I find that I'm more of a severe case than most people. And when I talk to them about their gut health, they don't really seem to have any issues or problem. Or me, I have about like 30 different issues with my gut, a lot of food sensitivities, reactions, etc. And they seem to have a better outcome with the detoxination protocol. So I've been trying to connect the dots, like, okay, like microbiome bacteria that help to detoxify the body as well. And I still believe that your protocol is really good. It's just I feel like there has to be a missing link, and I think that's the microbiome connection to it. So would you say that having a healthier gut or a gut that's kind of stable will improve the outcomes of your protocol, and vice versa? Will the protocol as well help improve the balance of the gut microbiome since it's reducing toxicities, which also affect and deteriorate the bacteria in a chronic state?
Yeah, in fact, earlier when you were phrasing this, you were saying, would a healthy microbiome, be the way to improve the detoxination? And actually, that's going to be more of a sign that the gut itself is actually not leaky or it's healed. It's in a good position. So, yeah, having a healthy gut is going to mean you've got a healthy microbiome, and that's going to, I believe strongly now, improve outcomes of detoxination. But because of the fact that many people are experiencing leaky gut and gut issues in general, I would say that we need to focus on that first and then work into the full program. But what we've done here is combined the gut health protocols, like Kiran's protocols, with the niacin flush sauna detox version, because that doesn't liberate anything new. That's just helping to get rid of what's already in blood. So yeah, I'm going to say that we now believe, like you do, that the missing link has been the gut. A lot of people, do the liver flushes and the kidney flushes and things like that, but when it comes right down to it, I truly believe now, based on the training I got from Kiran, that it is all about the gut that's certainly affecting the outcomes. So that's where we are today. And thank you guys for joining me. And I think we'll go ahead and stop the recording. And this will be posted probably within the next day or two. So thank you guys again.